Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Madhur, for the wonderful introduction. I did not think myself of that. So really wonderful. So hello, everyone. I'm Uma Saraswati. Like Madhur said, I'm a supply chain professional over 15 years. But you might wonder what a supply chain professional is doing here, right? You just heard from Dr. Prashant, and all the doctors here, and you are wondering why. So I went through my own personal transformation. So when I switched from industry to consulting, my eating habits changed. I was frequently tired, fatigued, and I slowly put on weight. And my annual routine checkup showed that my hormone well balanced. I had thyroid. So that was my waking call. So through the help of a coach, I personally transformed my health. I lost 10 kgs. I reversed my thyroid. So it's been 3 years since then. So this journey really I got passionate about it. If I could do it, anyone could do it. So I started helping others. I finished my qualification. Here I am. It's been 2 years as a coach and been helping a lot of people around me. So I'm so happy to host here about heart attacks. It's not any other heart attack. It is about silent heart attack because most of us already know what typically even Madhur gave a hint, right? Chest pain, few other things, symptoms. But we will be discussing today about silent heart attacks, which probably just come in a wish, right? So let me share my screen and talk you through what really means the silent heart attack. We share my screen. Let me know when my screen is all up. Okay. So,
Yes.
okay, thank you. So what is a silent heart attack? So silent heart attack, how different it is from a normal heart attack. It is a heart attack that occurs without any typical symptoms like chest pain or sweating, or somebody might have arm or shoulder pain suddenly, and that might be a heart attack. But none of these symptoms or pressure in the chest, right? None of these symptoms occur in silent heart. It is, as the name suggests, it is really silent. But it is frequently underestimated by medical occurrence, right? It goes unnoticed because people doesn't even know that they are experiencing heart attack. And so it still causes damage to the heart muscle. So this quiet nature makes it potentially more hazardous as it can still damage the heart muscle without the individual being aware. Right. So I've put few facts on the screen, right? So 1 in 5 heart attacks are really silent. So in India, especially 45% of these heart attacks go unnoticed. People don't even know that they actually died of heart attack, right? So that is how much severe it is. It just comes very quietly, and that's why we are here talking about it. And 70% of this, the statistics shows in India, are between the age 30 and 60. Right? Which means earlier the age used to be 50, 60 or 70. The age is slowly coming. Even people from 30 years old are experiencing this. Yeah. Okay. So let's go into the myth, right? Type in the chat, right? If you think young people don't get heart attack. I just mentioned 30, but anyone below 30 or 30, if you think they don't get really heart attack. Yes or no, you can just type in the answer. Okay. So actually, strong, you all have it right, because it doesn't mean the young people don't get heart attack. Even high stress, poor sleep, or any lifestyle could pose a threat to the heart and make even the younger adults vulnerable. So it's important that age is not a limit for this. Another myth, right? So people might wonder only people with cholesterol or BP might get heart attack, right? So I don't have BP, I don't have cholesterol. I'm just diabetes. I'm taking my medicines. I'm safe. Is that so? No. Because while cholesterol and BP are definitely a higher risk, people with even diabetes are at higher risk, right? The crux is the poor diet or lack of exercise, stress, pretty much the entire lifestyle can still harm. So it's important that you have your lifestyle right. Let me take you through a story, right? So meet Veer. He is a man in his 45-old, right, in his mid 40s. He's juggling. He has a very mid to senior professional, right? He's juggling between work and family, but he's noticing some small health challenges. You know, he used to be healthy, but now he's seeing, okay, he's a little tired, overseas, but we'll go through the symptoms together. But we'll see how he is preventing a silent heart attack, right? What are the typical symptoms? Like when I say silent heart attack, but does it really show some symptoms? Let's learn. Okay. First, we noticed, like I just mentioned, persistent fatigue, not just normal fatigue. One day you're traveling or anything, you're tired. That is not the thing. But if you're constantly feeling tired, fatigue, you're drained out, that's the word that you use, or occasional indigestion or heartburn. It's very, very common, very commonly happen, and we really disregard, okay, maybe I ate chola puri at late night, heartburn. It is possible, definitely. I'm not mixing that, but if you are occasionally, frequently experiencing these, there is it should be an alarm. Or discomfort in jaw or neck. You're having constant jaw, unexplained pain, right? That is something early sign as well. Or it can be as simple as bleeding gums. Okay, I brush my teeth, but it is somehow linked back to even with pre-diabetic, diabetic also can lead to bleeding gums. So there are multiple factors and not everything connects to heart. But these are still some symptoms that should act as an alarm. Okay, hey, something is going on, right? Some can feel arm discomfort. That could also be as simple as that. Or they could have like shortness of breath. You used to stairs, but right now you have a shortness of breath carrying some heavy items or climbing stairs. That is also, it is related to your, health deteriorating. It is an indicator of it can also happen. Again, these are all not directly linked, but can be potentially be linked to heart. Type in the chat if you know anybody or you experienced this symptom and you are now disregarding it. It could be you or your loved one. It could be anybody. But if you think, okay, I'm doing it, but I never thought this is linked to heart, right? So if you are experiencing, you can type your name on the chat. Now, let me take you through other symptoms that we're experienced. One of the symptom which probably none of us, would have thought through, this could be ever linked to, loss of hair. We would not even notice because why we don't go sit and watch our legs and, how our, hairs are going. Especially men, we don't really care. Women, they do waxing, they do a lot of, skincare routine. They might see, okay, there is a reduced regrowth. With continued waxing, there is a reduced, that's different. But if you notice there is a reduced regrowth or you are losing hair, this could be very, very subtle symptom that you should notice before it's late, right? Or if you're feeling numbness in your feet or fingers, because the only reason why this is happening is because your blood flow, your arteries to your lower half is being restricted or being damaged. The heart is trying to pump hard to those, but it is not able to. And that's why this is a very, very subtle symptom which we might easily miss. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the second symptom, right? Now, Veer is also experiencing erectile dysfunction, right? So this is something can again not directly linked, but is an indication your blood flow is not happening to your lower half properly. Your arteries are struggling. There is either a blockage or narrowed artery. It's not completely receiving the blood. Right? So you can see in the picture, a healthy artery doesn't have any block or anything. But slowly, plague, what is plague? I'll explain basically, we call it LDL, trying to protect. It is also protective mechanism produced by the body, but it's also fat accumulation in your artery, which is slowing down. That's why typically with, why it is linked, BP and cholesterol linked to higher risk, because for the same reason. Build-up of these small plaque is what is showing up as a cholesterol. Sometimes it is not, because there are especially soft plaque. Soft plaque really don't, show up in the test. It doesn't show up in your cholesterol or anything. So it is something because of poor circulation. So accumulated Plague leads to increased BP, cholesterol, and then eventually heart attack, again the same case, right? So here Veer experiences erectile dysfunction. He's wondering what is happening with him, right? It could be narrowed or it could be blocked artery. Now, going back to the next symptom, which is also something we can easily miss, right? Which is, this is the sign. If you see the earlobe, the bottom half, right? Slowly there is a bend, right? There is a crease in the earlobes. So this is commonly in medical terms called as a Frank's sign, right? So this is not very common, but some people can develop this symptom. But there's 78% of people with this symptom have a significant heart disease. So if you notice somebody with this earlobes creased, please warn them. Like with you or anyone, it's a high chance that they have a blocked artery or significant heart disease. So this is something. This also crease. Why there is a crease? Because it's also indicate a poor blood supply to earlobes due to narrowed arteries for the same reason that we discussed. Now, with the next symptom. So now, after this earlobe, he is not disregarding. He doesn't even know why it is. Now, he is also frequently noticed that he's lightheaded, dizzy. You climb stairs and you feel dizzy, lightheaded. You feel like, okay, sipping some water, feel dizzy. And if it's continuously this exertion activities is happening, then it is a very strong symptom that your heart is not able to pump blood to all your muscles, arteries to supply the blood, right? It is somewhere constricted or blocked. So don't disregard. It's very easy to, okay, I've put on weight. That is why I'm unable to climb stairs. I'm feeling tired. I have lost muscle, so that's why I'm unable to lift some heavy weights. It's easy to disregard. Maybe it's been a while I exercised. Maybe that's why I'm feeling tired. All reasons contribute to the symptom, right? So don't take this lightly. If you're having, get yourself checked. So this is another symptom that Veer experienced. He had always like lightheaded, dizzy whenever he did some exertion or a physical activity. Okay. Now, these are some symptoms that Veer experienced, but there are also other symptoms that we usually don't really mind or we ignore. One is easily something, holiday heart. Now, how does a holiday heart behave, right? Oh yeah, there's nothing to worry. So you are in a holiday, you indulge in alcohol, you indulge in junk food, salt foods. For some people, okay, this enjoyment is fine. But if it is for some people, this can trigger arrhythmias. So what is that? Arrhythmias is nothing but the heartbeat, right? The rhythm, irregular heart rhythm. So that's what arrhythmia is. So sometimes the heartbeat too fast, too slow, or erratically. This not happens for everybody, but for some people. So, but it is mostly it is harmless, but potentially if it is untreated, it can be life-threatening. Yeah. So if anyone you know or yourself experiencing this, take this as a warning. Second one is what Madhur mentioned, right? Broken heart syndrome. Oh my, you ex, you especially with younger ones, right? So you have a girlfriend broke up, boyfriend broke up, right? Or suddenly now the situation is very valid, right? Job situation, you lost a job, right? Suddenly these shocking news, right? You are heartbroken, right? So that times, is it actually heart attack? We need to think, right? So this is something we call it like, because during such shocking news or your loved one passed away, whatever that is. So this severe emotional situation, right, releases a lot of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline in your blood. So these sudden surge in these hormones, right, can alter the heart. It can mimic the heart attack. There is a small electrical system in the heart that pumps. So that can be altered due to these hormones and can mimic the heart attack pain or anything. But actually, it is not the heart attack because there is no blockage of blood in any artery during that situation. Whereas in silent heart attack, there is a blockage, but the symptom is not very prompt. You don't have any pain. So it is important to understand the difference. So that is one thing that, but if you're frequently experiencing stress, that is something we have to watch out for. And coming to sleep debt, right? This is something definitely we take it for granted. Most of us, especially like I used to take it for granted when I was in consulting, missing 2 hours, 3 hours. Okay, there's a deadline, we miss and everything. I'm not saying every time you miss, there is an issue, but if you continuously, if you're frequently missing your sleep, right? If you're sleeping lesser than ideal situation, it puts the risk. Your risk is keeping on increasing. You don't get heart attack one suddenly. It's a accumulation of these lifestyle habits that happens. There is always a tipping point or limit the heart can take. That's when there's a, so you are putting a risk every time you do that. There is a risk. Lastly, I also want to flag this. This is something we also disregard, especially for women and men, right? Uh, uh, the heart, every body is different, right? Especially women, they may not experience a chest pain or a heart pain. Instead, some people might experience a back pain instead of chest pain. Not all back pain are, again, I'm clarifying, again, not all back pain are related to heart. But this can also be one of the symptoms for those who are ignoring. So if you are chronic back pain, if your posture is right, if you corrected everything, but you're still experiencing fatigue, nausea, chest pain, especially women, you will need to check. So I'm okay. These are all some other symptoms, but Veer has experienced few others. So now what has he do? Now we need to understand why is this happening. I already mentioned the slow plaque buildup. What is plaque, right? It is nothing but your higher LDL trying to block in your artery. That's a separate story. But to be simple, it's basically the body's trying to make up for something. So there is HDL, LDL. You might be knowing, okay, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. You all know that. Now, why there is a high LDL? Okay, there's a high bad cholesterol in it, and there's a high chance of more plaque. This much, let me say. But there is a reason why liver is producing it. Let's not go into that. But if there is a continuous reason why there's a LDL is high, in order to prevent damage, the body's actual mechanism to prevent damage, it forms a plaque. But more the plaque, it restricts the blood, and see, if you can see the blood flow coming in here, the more the plaque is actually blocked, and that side of the artery, the blood is not receiving the good oxygen or anything, and it is getting damaged. The oxygen deprivated, the damage, the cells gets damaged. Eventually, that part of the heart gets weakened, and it is very subtle, and especially soft plaques. Soft plaques, even if you test your cholesterol, it might not show up there. LDL levels, it might be totally fine. But these are called soft plaques. They don't really show up in the report yet, but they're still forming some blocks in your bed. So we need to watch out for these subtle signs that we discussed earlier. Another sign is a low ferritin level. So when you're doing a blood test, ferritin is basically responsible to carry your oxygen to other parts. So the ability for the blood to carry, right? So if there is a low ferritin level, it's also possible that your organs are not receiving the enough oxygen, right? So that might be deprived, that and can lead to this damage as well. And diabetes people and BP, why am I saying that they are in higher risk? You might be, okay, I'm taking medication, everything, I'm watchful, but you might have heard some people, okay, oh, he died in his sleep, or he was totally fine, he was talking, he felt like palpitation, but then suddenly passed away, right? There might be many things, and diabetes are very high risk because of their high sugar levels. The nerve endings, the arteries, the small arteries are already damaged, the nerve end. So it's very high likely they will not be able to feel the pain as well. The sugar level might drop low one day, and you might not even know that you had a heart attack. So it's very, very risky one. And that's why I said, 45% of the heart attack goes unnoticed. So it's very important, especially for if you are a diabetic, and you have to watch your sugar levels in your blood. Otherwise, you are at a high risk, right? Either it's a normal heart attack or a silent one, but it is a high risk. So watch out for that, right? So these are some medical reasons why you might get a heart attack. Now what Veer has experienced those subtle signs. Now he went back, he didn't know what to do with it. So he is consulting with a health coach and understanding, okay, even the poor circulation, not just silent heart attack, but it's also increased chance of a stroke. You might see BP, there is a high likelihood of developing a stroke as well. So he now understands why these things appear and cardiac enzymes. So he also did some additional tests, which I'll just cover to confirm that these are actually cardiac parameters. And more importantly, he understood why these symptoms are coming, why the cholesterol, why the liver produces high cholesterol. He goes back to the root cause and understands the importance to fix the lifestyle. So what does he do? So some of the indicators, like I mentioned, the most common one, which most of us already know, is BP, cholesterol, HbA1c, right? HbA1c is nothing but your sugar levels in the blood, right? And next one, which we might not know and we might have to be watchful, is your CRP. CRP shows the inflammation level. The other ones are very particular test for cardiac, which I don't want to go into details, but this is something a doctor can prescribe if he thinks that you have a definitely cardiac risk. So, but most common ones are the top two that you can do anytime and see and have a check whether if you have a risk or not. Now, Veer, what did he do? Now he went to a coach. He know what is to be done. And now, along with the coach, he fixes his lifestyle. So what is a lifestyle? It's not just food exercise, right? Most of us think it's also including, like Clifford mentioned, right? We have to take care of stress and, environment, nothing but how the toxins entering our body, our sleep, belongingness, right? So how we are surrounded with everything. So now Veer, together with the help of coach, he fixed his lifestyle, he quit smoking, he limited his alcohol intake, and his life changed, right? So we are coming to the end of the session. So the key takeaways are: watch out for the plaque buildup. And then the heart damage can happen slowly over time. It can never, give a strong signal, but very subtle signals, but it can damage. So watch out for these plaque buildup, and the early recognition can prevent these attacks. Right? So the only chance is, if you are here, if you haven't done your recent blood test in the last 6 months or 1 year, now is the time. Go back and do your general basic test. Whoever has invited you to this meeting, go back to your coach, ask which are the tests to be done, do your general checkup, discuss with your coach, and then you will know your risks and we'll help. Right? So what are we here to say? Silent heart attacks whisper before they strike. We just need to be watchful. The question is, are we listening to those subtle whispers? Thank you, everybody, for listening to me. Over to you.